Our next speaker has spent over 2 decades at the forefront of bariatric medicine, transforming not just bodies, but lives. Dr. Nickolson is the founder of the Nickolson Clinic for Weight Loss Surgery, a nationally renowned center that has cared for more than 25,000 patients in 50 states and beyond. As a surgeon, an author, and an educator, he's known for pairing advanced medical innovation with a deeply human approach to care. Today, he's here to pull back the curtain on a topic surrounded by hype, hope, and misunderstanding, the hidden realities of weight loss medication. Please join me in welcoming Nick Nickolson.
Thank y'all for having me. I got a lot to cover and only got 10 minutes, so bear with me. I want to talk about a topic that's all over the media these days, both nationally and internationally, and that's these amazing weight loss medications on the market. These GLP-1 drugs that are taking the nation by storm, if you will. Do they have some amazing results? Yes. Do they have some not so amazing results? Also, yes. But the problem is that there's been a lot of talk about providing mandatory coverage for these drugs in the US, and I'm here to tell you, left unchecked at the current costs, those drugs will single-handedly bankrupt our healthcare system in less than 2 years, okay? Their costs at present are simply not sustainable. And they're not this panacea for all that is weight loss the way that they're being portrayed in the media. Good evening. As they said, my name's Nick Nickolson. I'm a weight loss surgeon from Dallas, and I've been practicing weight loss surgery and obesity medicine for a little over 24 years. And during that time period, I've seen some amazing things, man. I've seen marriages happen. I've seen children born to otherwise infertile parents. I've seen joy. I've seen heartbreak. I've seen failures. I've seen complications. The whole gamut. And over that time period, a couple of things have become very obvious to me. Number one, the obesity epidemic in America is doing nothing but worsening. At present, 1 out of every 3 people in this country is obese. And number two, the cost of treating that obesity is breaking our healthcare system, which really brings me to the topic of my talk. And certainly while cost is an overarching theme, given the specific focus of this talk, what we're going to examine tonight is, are these drugs worth the cost? Are they really effective? And how do they compare to the most effective treatment we have, which is surgery? Well, if you look at the data, you'll find out that last year alone, the U.S. spent $173 billion on obesity alone. Okay, and no one needs to be told this next part, but over the last 20 years, insurance premiums have tripled. Okay, and a large portion of that is due to the cost of treating obesity. Now, fortunately, when it comes to treating obesity, we have the 2 most powerful weapons in our armamentarium that we've had in the history of modern medicine. We have GLP-1 medications and we have weight loss surgery. Okay, but is there a time and a place for each of these? Certainly, depending on the patient's journey and where they are. But when we compare these, we've got to keep our eye on the prize, because what's the ultimate goal here? Significant, long-term, sustained weight loss. Okay, listen, losing 50 pounds just to gain back 60 is not success. Okay, so to that end, I'd like to share a case study with you wherein both of these options had a very appropriate place in this patient's weight loss journey. Okay, then we're going to talk about how they actually played out within the confines of our healthcare system. So Sarah is a 32-year-old patient whose name has obviously been changed for confidentiality purposes. And before we go into that, though, let me talk to you a little bit about what Sarah went through before she showed up in my office. See, Sarah, like many patients, she'd been overweight since childhood. Her parents had put her on dozens of diets. She'd tried exercise. She still got made fun of as a teenager. She still felt marginalized. She really wasn't in the relationship she wanted to be in. She wasn't wearing the clothes she wanted to wear. She'd gotten to the point where she felt that her obesity, her disease, was holding her back in her life. Okay, see, this is much worse than just, I'm overweight, now I've developed diabetes. No, this is a very personal and very emotional experience for patients. So understanding that, Sarah's 5'5". She weighed 215 pounds. She had high blood pressure that was controlled with one medication. So her primary care doctor put her on a GLP-1 drug that her insurance covered. Important point. Okay, how'd she do? Man, she did great. She lost 39 pounds in 9 months. Blood pressure was down to normal with no medications. Then her insurance changed. That drug was no longer covered. How much did it cost? $1,300 a month. She couldn't afford that. She couldn't afford the generic version either. So what happened? Well, Sarah got to find out the hard way that 2 out of every 3 patients that stop their GLP-1s regain all of their weight within 1 year. Sarah was no different. She didn't gain to 215. She went past that up to 222. Again, common story, had high blood pressure again. What do we do now? Well, fortunately, Sarah was able to have weight loss surgery. She lost 53 pounds in a year. Blood pressure was back to normal. Okay. See, this illustrates to me the biggest hurdle that we face in treating obesity in Western society, and that's cost. Cost is crippling us. Okay. So looking at Sarah's case from a cost standpoint, see, Sarah likely never would have needed any further intervention if she'd been able to continue those medications. See, but that's a huge limitation of these drugs. They're lifelong, okay? They're not a cure for obesity. They're a tool for treating obesity, but it's no different than a patient with high blood pressure. Hey, take your blood pressure medicine today. Your blood pressure is normal. Don't take it tomorrow. Guess what? You got high blood pressure, okay? So in Sarah's case, had she paid cash for this, she would have had to pay $15,600 per year, potentially forever, to continue her admittedly highly effective medication. And now for those of you that go, no, Sarah wouldn't have paid that. Her insurance would have paid that. No, the healthcare system as a whole would have paid $15,600 for that. Rest assured, someone would have been paying that drug company $1,300 a month for her treatment. Okay. Now, in this case, fortunately, she was able to pay $10,000 once to have weight loss surgery and no ongoing costs from that. See, this illustrates the Achilles heel of these drugs right now. Exorbitant cost. These drugs are still under patent. So let's go back to that concept of mandatory coverage for these. All right, listen, if we put the 1 out of every 3 Americans that has this disease on those drugs, at those costs, that would cost an extra $1.73 trillion per year. Okay, compare that to last year's entire healthcare spend of $4.9 trillion. That increases that by 35% every year. That's not sustainable. Okay, and even if it was, are these drugs worth the price? Okay, think about it. GLP-1 drugs increase a hormone in the body, strangely called GLP-1. And from an oversimplified standpoint, higher levels of GLP-1 in the blood decrease your appetite and they help you lose weight through a variety of mechanisms. But if we compare this to other more effective treatments like surgery, what do we find? Well, surgery actually increases GLP-1 levels 3 times more than any GLP-1 medication does. And surgery actually outperforms GLP-1s across the board. I mean, better overall weight loss, long-term sustainability, less side effects, lower costs. And then we got to stop and think, look, these things are everywhere. And we've got all these celebrity endorsers. We got these cute commercials where everybody bursts into dancing in the middle of the street because who doesn't enjoy getting a good injection? All right. They don't show you the truth. All right. What's the truth? 58% of people that start GLP-1 drugs stop them in less than 12 weeks. That's right, less than 3 months. And they don't work at all for 20% of people. Okay, you're not going to see that on one of those commercials because that's not sexy. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is reality with these medications. So what's this mean from a financial standpoint? Well, I mean, GLP-1 drugs, if you choose those, you're locked in. I mean, these drugs are a lifelong treatment, okay? Now, that's why so many people are exploring surgery these days. Now, are they a big deal? Yes, they're a big deal because they got big pharma dollars behind them, but they're not the most effective treatment we have. Surgery's more effective and it costs less. It just doesn't have big pharma dollars, okay? But despite the media blitz and all the celebrity endorsers, GLP-1s are not a solution for the average American, okay? They're a short-term fix. They're a Band-Aid, all right? The bottom line is these drugs are not financially accessible to the average American when you take them in the context of them being a lifelong treatment, okay? Now, I'm not sitting here saying that surgery is the answer for everyone because it's not, okay? But what I am saying is GLP-1 drugs, they're not the answer in their current iteration either, all right? Now, I'm certainly not professing to have all the answers, but the first thing we do in medicine, identify the problem. And once we've identified it, what are we going to do about it? Well, listen, I'm here to tell you, it's going to take a Herculean effort. I'm talking money, time, compassion, research, everything. But the very first thing we have to do to tackle this disease, we have to destigmatize obesity. We got to quit marginalizing obese patients. We got to look at this more like it's depression or breast cancer. Maybe then people wouldn't be embarrassed to seek help. Okay? Maybe if they felt like everyone was pulling for them, like we do when we hear someone has breast cancer, maybe that would be a little different environment and something that could start that process. Now, I know that's a lot to ask, but listen, this journey of 1,000 miles, it's got to start somewhere. So thank you very much for having me.